Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Carlton People. I'm your host. I'm Terry, and today I've got a new friend, I would say, someone who's come along through the Blue Abroad fraternity, someone who I've met through the online streaming and just through the content that we've been putting out. I speak of none other than Mr. Chris Beach. Hello, mate.
G'day, Terry. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to come on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Mate, the pleasure's all mine. As I said, we met. I don't know the exact day that we met, but I have noticed your unwavering support throughout all the streams and comments and whatnot.
Yes.
And we've had a few exchanges back and forth, and so I thought it would be remiss of me not to get you on here and learn a little bit more about you, mate.
Of course. You know, we can learn more about each other on the way.
Yep.
Any questions you have, let's fire away, mate.
Absolutely, mate. Well, let's start with the usual. Obviously, this is Carlton People, and I want to know your Carlton story. Mate, where does it all begin for you?
Okay, so I'm 28 years old, born in 1992, a year after you, obviously. How I first started to follow Carlton was thanks to my dad. Now, he was growing up in a Geelong household at the time, and his dad was Geelong, obviously, because he was born and raised down there. Now, his best mate was in grade 2 was a Carlton supporter, so I'm going to go Carlton at that time, and his dad was a little bit disappointed about that, but at the same time, that's what happened. And he said once I was on, I became a Carlton supporter like him. Otherwise, it was Essendon like my mum and the rest of her family.
Well, you dodged a bullet there.
Oh, you bet I did. You bet I did.
So obviously, yeah. So 91, 92, we do know that we won the flag in 95, obviously, but a little young to remember that. So
yes,
we live in the most unrelatable to the rest of the supporters, because every other generation of Carlton supporters seems to have had some sort of success, if not a lot of success.
Yes.
And talk to me a little bit about what was your first Carlton memory, whether it be going to a game or watching it on TV?
Okay, well, but like you said, we don't remember much about 95.
Yeah.
And the story goes around saying that me, Mum and Dad, we went to a place called Bairnsdale in Eastern Victoria because I had family based out there at the time. Now, as a 3-year-old, of course, you don't follow it as much, but I was trying to follow it as much as I could back then. But at the same time, it was the day we were playing West Coast in Perth, and we won by 3 points. Now, that was practically my first cup memory at the time, even though I probably wasn't watching at the time. But my uncle, my eldest cousin, who were Carlton supporters, and my dad were all watching it at the same time, and I was probably running around like a little tagger just trying to find out what was actually going on around my surroundings.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
No, I love it. And fast forward, it's 2020. We watch the footy in a different way now. It's a different game. You and I want to touch on a little bit on how you and I met and how we connected. We have a very similar path that we've crossed. Talk to me a little bit about your profession and what you do for work.
Okay, so as I had said before this call started, I work in the legal profession, so I get to see a lot of people every day. Of course, given the current situation, it's every third day. So before this whole thing started, I was working 5 days a week, and I still am when this whole thing wasn't on, with barristers and solicitors. Now, the Victorian Bar, that's got 3/4 Melbourne supporters, but at the same time, there's a lot of Carlton supporters around. So I'm always communicating about the footy with a lot of people. And at the same time, you're looking at where there's other people, and you're also trying to figure out which other solicitors are around that you've got to go to and all that.
Yep. No, well, I was obviously not a barrister, but I was a solicitor. So I would have been dealing with people in your position, many a time in my career.
Yep.
So, yeah, that was really cool to understand about you. And I think the other thing that we have in common, which is probably a little bit more relatable to the audience that will be watching this, is we both love berating poor, umpiring decisions, whether it be in real life, whether it be on that fucking game. I'll tell you what, mate, we've had a few moments.
Oh, I tell you what, I'm surprised I've still got my voice after a few of these fucking games. Oh my god. I tell you what.
One of my favorite things about you is whenever I'm playing AFL Evolution 2 and, I get excited, the emotions come out, and I can always bank on you being there to give them shit as well in the comments. It's quite enjoyable.
Well, what can I say, mate? It's just instinct. The minute I see something like that, I am off. That is it. Because it doesn't matter if I'm sitting there at the game like you, or if I'm sitting behind a computer screen like you. When you're in front of your when you're in front of your PlayStation, that's exactly how it goes. As soon as I see something I don't like, bang, that is it.
I love it. Talk to me about where we're at the moment. In your eyes, in your view, what are your observations as to where the Blues are at right now?
Okay, so at the moment, I think we are on the way up.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a few problems with injuries. That much is clear, and that's uncontrollable. But if a lot of these players can get their bodies right, okay, stay off the injury list as much as they can, I reckon we can be pushing for a flag within the next couple of years.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. I don't know if it's the COVID break that's made me frustrated or if it's what I actually feel yet. But yesterday, Kane Little was on SEN and he was talking, and obviously he's done a fantastic job off the field, and we hear about the finances and we hear about we're clearing debt. Something inside me is starting to say, I don't want to hear about that anymore. I don't want to hear about, but we played well at the end of 2019. I don't want to hear, and I sort of battle with myself sometimes in that,
Yes.
Let's give them some time. And then the other side of me says, well, at what point is it going to be no? It's time to win, and I want to hear from you. When is that turning point for you? When does it go from give them some time to we need to start winning games?
I'm thinking probably next year at the moment because, with the COVID break, as you've just said, sure, you're fighting with yourself a fair bit. But you see, with this being a shortened season, we don't have much time to, get everybody back ready to go quickly. So I'm giving them this year to say, right, find your feet during this COVID break. Next season, we have to start winning games consistently.
Yeah.
Not just be competitive. We have to be getting up there consistently with the best. Maybe not against Richmond and West Coast and Collingwood straight away because they're literally the front runners at the moment. But if we can keep pushing sides like Fremantle and winning, St Kilda and winning, and everyone else, I reckon sooner or later we will be pushing the rest of them.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair comment. I think the teams around us. I mean, let's start with getting out of the bottom four. Hey,
Yes.
let's start there. Let's beat the teams that we should beat, and then I think when we play against those West Coasts, those Richmonds, those Collingwoods, maybe even those GWSs, if we can sort of keep the margin, into 4 goals, say maybe 5 goals max, I think that would be okay. The one thing we definitely can't afford to be having, whether it be this year, next year, and beyond, is just how we've had those games where it's just 11 goals. It's just disastrous. Like they need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to be vamoosed, if you will. Like I've seen my fair share of them, and I'm sure you've seen your fair share of them as well.
Yeah, no, they're tough to swallow. I mean, it doesn't change the way we feel about the club, and if anything, I enjoy sitting in through a 11 goal, 12 goal loss almost as much as I enjoy a win. There's something sick about it that I enjoy because I know that I'm there, I'm a part of it. I'm feeling the pain. They're seeing me in the crowd, and I'm watching them disappoint me, and it's all going to be worth it. And yeah, I do want to also touch on the break as well. What has the break meant for you personally? And then we'll touch on a little bit about the club. How have you gone and fared throughout the break? What's your adjustment been like?
Well, as I said to you before this call started, I've been working every 3 days. So 1 day on, 2 days off. Sometimes it's been a 2-day working week. Sometimes it's been a 1-day working week. Now, at the time, when this whole season started, I would have normally tried to go interstate for a footy game or whatever, just for a weekend. Now, obviously, with the restrictions, that hasn't able to have happened because of what's happened. But I've been trying to go through old footy games as much as I can and just reminisce on, right, this is where I want to, this is where I want to see us in the next couple of years, or this is how we used to be back then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I can't help but feel like, I'm not going to say we're the team that's benefited the most from the break, but I can't help but feel that a young team like us, like the Gold Coast Suns, maybe even like a Freo, who have a lot of high draft picks who have been drafted recently, I can't help but feel like it's going to be a big benefit to them because, for the most part, some of the bodies that we have, we talk a lot about Tom DeConning needing to put on some size. We talk a lot about maybe even a Zach Fisher needing to fill out a little bit more. Guys like a Sam Philp, etc., Paddy Dow, Lockie O'Brien. I can't help but feel like this has just been an extra 7 or 8 weeks of a preseason for them. And, in theory, it's great. Put on some size. But the key is to put on size and keep running power. And I'm really, really hoping, and I am confident that they've done the work, but I'm really hoping that we do see the benefits of this extra preseason.
Yes, 100%. I agree with that entirely because it's not every day that you're going to get a second chance to start afresh. Especially with this pandemic that's hit, you don't really get a second chance too often to restart, to refresh your body a little bit, get yourself in the gym a little bit more on your own, that is, and bulk up a little bit more, as you've just been saying.
Yeah. Where is the key improvement going to come from for us, do you think? Like, where do you rate the 22 that go out there? Everyone's got a different best 22. Where do you think our strengths lie, and where do you think the most improvement needs to come from?
Okay, so our strengths at the moment, I see, are in the midfield because you've got Cripps, you've got Walsh, they're your generals in the midfield. When Cruz is there, he's there. It is the perfect way to boil everyone into the supporting roles they need. Our improvements at the moment, I need to see probably in the forward line. There's too many people not focusing on their set shots properly, and they're focusing on going for goal on the run, where they need to give themselves more time through the set shot, see where they're going, and if it's able to go, then they go.
Yeah, no, that's a fair comment. I really like our defense. I think that's one of the. I would say that is our strongest line on the field out of the three. Just given the talent that's there, the depth that's there. There aren't too many in that line for me who are too young and still need to develop. I think we've got a good mix. The midfield for me, I agree. I think it is a strong point. Now that we've got Walsh in there, we've added that that extra star, if you will, without wanting to put too much pressure on him. That star next to Cripps. I still feel like one of either Fisher, Dow, or Lockie O'Brien, one of the three have to really elevate to that A-grader type status, so we can really, enjoy the fruits of what we've done with them in terms of drafting them.
Sure.
And I think I can't help but feel like this Brody Kemp kid. There's size, there's mobility, and obviously we've only seen the highlights of his draft year, so it's hard to say that he's going to be impacting in the AFL as good as he was at under 18 level. But at the end of the day, once he gets to a point where everyone else in the competition is at a similar age than what he was, then I think he's going to be that next star or that next grunt player that we have. And then you think about, okay, well, hey, Stocker hasn't even really elevated himself yet, and we're pretty confident that he's going to make it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've been trying to get news on Stocker as much as I can, even though he hasn't been able to be in the news lately. But when we've seen him play, he's shown something, and us fans like that. Like, he's shown plenty of promise as he's coming up, but at the same time, you want to make sure that his body's right as well.
Yeah, I really enjoy and again, we've only seen him in limited capacity. I really enjoy his want and will to push people around. And I'm not calling us soft, but I think we lack that real mongrel a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, back in 2017, when Tom Williamson was running around, he was definitely giving us a little bit of that mongrel too, I thought, because when George Hewitt was just giving him elbows in the back just to try and be a pest, if you will, Williamson turned around, put his mouth guard and pretty much said to him, "If you want to piss at me, have a go at me while I'm looking at you, not while I've got my back to you, coward."
Yeah, little things like that. And like little things like I remember round one, there was a passage of play where Dustin Martin sort of just threw Murph to the ground. Now, I get it. Dusty's a star and all of that. But for me, where are the boys? Where are the boys cracking in? Where was, that is a very, it's a minor thing. It's a very little thing, but it means so much.
Exactly. You give Dusty an inch and he takes 5 kilometers.
Yeah.
That's what he does. That's exactly what he does. It's the same with Fife. When we play Fremantle, you give him an inch, he takes 5 kilometers.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, at some point we have to become this uncompromising team. And, having said that, I understand that for a lot of these players, they've pretty much got to learn who they are going to be in the league and then who they're going to be as people off the field before you can sort of get comfortable on the field. And so, there's like I said before, there's always that balance between patience and, the will and the want to see us successful. What are some of the best games that you can remember being at or moments that you like really stick in your memory?
Okay, well, there's a few. So I'm going to go back to 2004 to start.
Yep.
When we went to Adelaide. Now, we've been beaten by St Kilda comprehensively the previous week. And Adelaide had a look at us and they thought, righto, here's some points. Trouble was they didn't tell Favola that, and he kicked 7 and we managed to win by 4 points. That was one. Another one that I enjoyed, and this one I absolutely love because I've got a lot of family members on my mum's side that support Essendon. So I'm going to go to 2007. Round 3, 48-point deficit, won by 3 points. Thank you, Brendan Favola.
Yeah. I want to go back to the first point, the Adelaide game. Now, I listened to Brendan Favola on Dylan Buckley's podcast this week, and he was actually talking about the series of events that led to that week. So he wasn't playing very well early or for a few games before that St Kilda game. He was put onto Fraser Garrick in that St Kilda game.
Yes.
And played at full back, and we ended up losing by over 100 points. And then the week after that, Dennis Pagan had sort of said to him in no uncertain terms, like, if you don't perform today, you're going to be dropped. And so he obviously goes out and kicks, I think he kicked 7, and then he kicked 8 the next week, and then 8 again the week after that. So, it was interesting when you brought that up. Also on Essendon, now, I don't know about you. Now, obviously, the Carlton-Collingwood rivalry is the biggest one historically in the club's history, and I respect it and I love it.
Yes.
But I hate Essendon more.
Mate, join the club. Honestly, I cannot believe it. Like I said, I have family members on my mum's side that support Essendon. Anytime we play Essendon, I'm always hearing from them in one way, shape, or form, whether it's a call, whether it's a text. It doesn't matter. I'm always hearing from them in one way, shape, or form. Anytime we're playing Essendon, I've got friends that support Essendon. It doesn't matter. I'm always hearing from them at some point.
Yeah, there's, I don't know. My theory is that, and I've spoken about this on a few other occasions. My theory on this is that Collingwood have won a flag in our lifetime, and they've obviously been a very good team recently. They're one of the best teams in the competition, so there's that respect. Yes. Richmond as a rival, they were the clown team. I didn't really hate Richmond, but I just loved making fun of them. I respect them now. They've won off a couple of flags. Essendon haven't done shit. And I think that's where it comes from.
Exactly. And, Essendon like to try and give us shit because we haven't done anything for however many years now. And you're like, well, hang on, boys. You guys haven't done as much as we have, and yet you're giving us crap for the number of years that we've been down there when you guys have been down there with us.
Yep. You know what gets me? What gets me in 2020 with Essendon fans is when they really take umbrage to, the drug scandal, and you can't talk about it and you can't make fun of it because, it's a very sensitive issue. But we have to sit through 15 or so years of salary cap jokes. It's funny how when the shoe's on the other foot, it's really sensitive for them.
Oh, man, I couldn't believe it. And when people were making that, when people were giving me that salary cap joke, I thought, okay, you know what? I'd rather support a club that had money trouble than drug trouble.
Yeah, I feel you.
So, that's what I ran with for those few years because I thought, well, if that's what's going to happen, then, spade's a spade.
So I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. Let's look ahead. We've got a 4-game fixture as at the time of this video. Melbourne, Geelong, Essendon, St Kilda. What were your initial thoughts on the 4-game fixture, and how do you think we'll go?
Okay, so when I I was hearing multiple reports. I was hearing Essendon and North Melbourne as the games to bring us back into the season. And then we heard Melbourne, obviously, was then confirmed Melbourne. So when I saw we were playing Melbourne first up, I thought, okay, that's a decent chance. The venue I was a bit surprised about, but we play home games at Etihad, so of course that was going to happen at some point. Geelong down there. Now I've been down to Geelong previously with a cousin of mine for the last couple of games down there. Now I'm disappointed that we're playing them down there, but you've got to have the anytime, anywhere mentality because you've got to be ready for anything that gets thrown at you. Then I saw Essendon and St Kilda at the MCG. Now, I'm with you. I reckon 3 of those 4 we can win.
Yeah, that was my initial thought. Melbourne gives me a bit of it's a mixed emotion because I'm very confident that Melbourne are going to be more closer to the 2018 Melbourne this year than what they are the 2019 Melbourne.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I'm like, oh, maybe we won't win. But then on the other hand, Melbourne's also one of those teams where you don't know which Melbourne's going to turn up.
That's it.
When they're at their best, they're probably a better side than us.
Yeah.
But if they don't show up, and if they give that, if they're that 5 or 6, 7% off, and we're on, we can nip them. So those are my feelings about that. I really think that we've got to try, whatever it looks like, we've got to win 2 of them. There's got to be 2 wins in there. One win it's tough to swallow, but you'll take it if we're competitive. If we go 0-4, I don't even want to entertain the idea, because then we're, I don't even want to look at it like that.
No, exactly. Because if we then run into Collingwood and West Coast in the next block, that just spells trouble in capital letters for everybody.
Yeah, exactly right. And then we all talk about the need to win games and the need to make finals, and to do that, if it's going to be 2021, all right, fair enough. But we've got to see, as close to 50% of our games won as possible. We probably. If there's 17 games, I'm looking at probably want to look at 7 or 8 wins. Now, obviously, in a 23-game season, round season, I should say, I was looking at 9 to 10 wins. But now I've sort of adjusted my numbers to fit the schedule. We've got 17 games that, we play everyone once. We need to win as close to half of them as we can, for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, we have quite a few games we can win. Obviously, with the fixture being put in 4 blocks, we've got to pick them off in block by block. But if we can get half of them, I reckon we can be looking at maybe finals within the next couple of years at least.
Love it. I'm going to fire some rapid questions at you so we can finish it off. Tell me a player that you look at who you think is going to become a genuine star, who doesn't have that limelight just yet.
Okay.
And you can't say Sam Walsh. That's the condition.
Course. No, I understand completely. Now, I like I said to you before, I saw bits of DeConning and I saw bits of Tom Williamson, and I like the look of both of them when I saw them.
Yep.
Now, if they can get their bodies right, particularly Williamson off half back, I reckon we're looking at a pretty good star in him.
Love it. If you could pick one player from another team that's playing today and insert him into the Carlton lineup today, who would it be? And you have unlimited money.
Okay, unlimited money. That's good. Now, another mate of mine, he asked me that question, and I said Lance Franklin.
Yep.
But I'm going to say, Nat Fife from Fremantle, because we're going to need all the support we can get through the middle, and we know he can go forward. We know he can be a goal sneak around the ruck. Cripps, Fife, Walsh, that's a pretty good midfield.
Goodness me, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Last one. Which year will we win the premiership?
2023.
Love it. Love it. We will look back on this video in 2023 and we'll reconnect and see how this prediction goes.
Beautiful, mate.
Love it. Mate, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. It's been a pleasure to connect with you and meet you. And I'm looking forward to the day we can have a toast at the actual footy.
Yes, 100%, mate. I'm looking forward to like everybody else. Thank you for having me on. It's been great, and you provide great work for your channel.
Thank you, mate. Go Blues.
Go the Baggers.